Hello, darling. I was thinking some stuff, and it seemed worth sharing. I was thinking about finding your tribe and how marvellous it can be to be in a group of people that share your interests. As someone who grew up with a love of science fiction and fantasy, I quickly got used to being labelled as a geek. This was even before I properly got into comic book superheroes. That didn't happen till I got to university. But back in my school days, I was already playing Dungeons & Dragons. I was happy to be a geek and to hang around with other geeks. I was part of that subculture. I remember going with my D&D friends to one or two conventions in London, and what it was like to wander through these enormous halls full to bursting with other people who liked the same things that we liked. One of the side effects of shared interests is that you get each other's references and in-jokes. At its best, that's a key part of the bond that this kind of tribe can offer. That we get each other. That being with these people makes us feel got. It's the reason why outsiders in such groups can feel like there's a secret language being used. This can have a dark side, of course. These kinds of shibboleths can be part of the nasty tendency towards gatekeeping that geek spaces are guilty of. Like many people growing up, becoming parents, working full-time, I wasn't always great at keeping up with hobbies and interests that might once have dominated my free time. I was still a geek, still married to a geek, and definitely raising my children to be geeks, but I didn't have a regular D&D group, and I wasn't going to roleplay conventions. I did still occasionally get out to live music gigs, albeit only once or twice a year, if that. Being at a gig has some of that tribal energy. The space around you is full of people there for the same reason that you are. At its strongest, there's something almost shamanic about it. The deep bass beat in the pit of your stomach feels tribal in a very primal way, like you're part of a thread running back through millennia. The other phenomenon that I always associate with live music gigs is going home on the tube afterwards. You leave the venue and you're still surrounded by your people. You stand on the underground platform and that population is becoming diluted. There may still be lots of people who've just come from where you've come from, but they're mixed in with others who haven't. Getting on the train dilutes that even further. And then gradually they leave at their own stations in a kind of fade transition until you're walking the last bit home, no longer surrounded by any of your tribe. I've always been fascinated by the idea of found family. The friends we stay in touch with through the years, because we originally found them through shared interests, can be closer to us than our own parents or siblings. These are the connections made and maintained deliberately, not mere accidents of blood. Not that biological families don't have their own in-jokes, of course. The gatekeeping that geek spaces have a problem with can be very similar to the in-law experience. That said, the difference between being in a room full of family and being in a room full of geeks isn't all that different if you're lucky enough to have children who are also geeks. My family have many happy memories of going together to the short-lived Nine Worlds fan conventions. These only ran for about 5 or 6 years, but I distinctly remember the buzz of going to spend the weekend surrounded by a richly diverse and consciously inclusive mass of people who liked the same stuff I did, and wanted to sit in big rooms and talk about it, and listen to other people talk about it. Every year that I went, it felt like going home. A profound sense of found family, made all the more special by my teenage children loving it as much as I did. These days, the internet makes it easier to connect with our different tribes. From dedicated fan sites, to Facebook groups, to Discord servers, the tantalizing promise of connection runs through the fabric of online life. Listening to a podcast made by people who liked that show as much as you did, or watching a video about one of your hobbies or crafts, connects us to people who share our interests. Online communities may lack some of the benefits of being face-to-face, but they can still offer us support and advice when we need it, or just allow us to hang out with people who get us. I always joked that I would retire and catch up on my box sets, watch all the shows that I'd missed or fallen behind on. I used to claim that I was joking anyway. I'm not sure how many people I actually fooled. Now that I am retired, it's nice to have a regular D&D group again, and to read more of the books that the geek I married has been raving about. And it's no surprise that my time online is spent in geeky fandom spaces. It's a joy to spend more time with my tribe. Anyway, that's what I was thinking about, and it felt worth sharing. See you soon.